What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to another WNBA video. We got a three-game slate on the deck for Wednesday, June 11th. So we're going to break down and analyze each of those games. We'll talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points on the spread. And then when it's all said and done, make sure you check down there into the pinned comment. You'll find a link down there that's going to send you over to the Guy Boston Sports website. It's where all of my final plays are going to live for free. But before we dive into these games, let's go ahead and jump over there to the Guy Boston Sports website. We need to take a look back to Tuesday night, what we took and how that ended up going down. It went pretty good, man. We ended up going 3-2 on the day, but one of those cashes was a half unit play, and we played the rest at quarter unit, so that definitely does help our cause there with that 3-2 finish on the night. Well, we took Ryan Howard over 17.5 points. She does not have a great game whatsoever. Somebody wrote down there in the comments, man, that whenever Caitlin Clark is not out there, it's like she's not really that aggressive, and I agree, man. I definitely agree. So that was disappointing to see, but she does not cash on that one. Brianna Jones over 6.5 rebounds. We do cash there. Natasha Cloud over 5.5 assists. We do not hit on that one. We took a total under 167.5 in the Sky in the Liberty game, and that cashes. And then, man, I logged into FanDuel while at work. Just kind of sat down for a second to drink some water. Just popped FanDuel open for some reason and saw that profit boost, right, for 30%. I was like, I bet I could throw the Dream in the money line with the Liberty on the money line and get it at some decent odds. It comes out to minus 145. So like I said, we threw a half unit on that one and we do cash. So 3-2 on the night. We will take it, guys. And we're going to look to build on that winning momentum, man. Let's have another winning night tonight. Let's go ahead and dive into these games, guys. If you could smash that like button down there for me and hit subscribe if you have not already. Well, let's go ahead and get into the mix. We got the Minnesota Lynx taking on the Seattle Storm. Lynx 4.5 point favorites. Total was sitting at 156. I saw it get all the way down to 154.5. I'm now seeing it at 155.5. So definitely some movement there. Keep an eye on that one. All these games tip off at 10 p.m. tonight, man. Another one of them days where it's like, come on, guys. Who is making the schedule? Space these games out a little bit. And I understand it's some West Coast games, right? Who cares, man? Space them out a little bit. But yeah, they all start at 10 p.m., all three of them. But Minnesota's going to come into this one just 4-5 to the number, but they remain undefeated straight up at 9-0. They're going to be on the road here for the second in a row, but we'll head home for a three-game homestand after this. Seattle's going to have a one-day rest advantage here over the Lynx, but they're going to be heading out for a three-game road trip after this one. They are 5-4, both straight up and against the spread. Minnesota won the one and only head-to-head meeting between these two so far this season, although they failed to cover the 7-point line that they were given in that one. But looking at it straight up, man, the Lynx have taken 7 of the last 10 head-to-head over the Storm, and they covered in 6 of those 7, right? So definitely have had the Storm's number over the last couple seasons. Seattle is coming into this one 6th for offensive rating, 7th for defensive rating, and they carry a net rating of plus 2.0. That puts them at 5th in the W. The Lynx are sitting at 2nd across the board for offensive, defensive, and net rating with a plus 13.4 overall net rating. What's interesting is that offensively, they're both shooting right at 46% from the field, 37% from deep, tied for second in the W in both of those categories. The difference is coming on the defensive side, though, with Seattle allowing a 7th in the league, ranked 42% from the field, 32% shooting from beyond the arc. The Lynx are second for overall shooting percentage allowed to the opposition at just 39%, and they are first for three-point shooting percentage at just 27. I just don't see where things change too much here, man. The Lynx are the better team, and as long as they come out focused, they handle business here, right? And I wouldn't talk anyone off the Minnesota side. I think that's the right way to look at this one, man. I think I'd be interested in looking at the Lynx early myself, though. Before I play this for the full game. Once we have some first quarter and first half lines available, I'll take a look at that because they just haven't covered at a consistent rate this season so far. But with that said, man, they have covered this specific 4.5 point line at a 78% rate this year, while the Storm are only covering at that, catching 4.5 at just a 56% hit rate. So do have that working in our favor for Minnesota. For the total, looking at that, it did open up at 158, and it's already been bet down, like I said, kind of jumped around a little bit, got down to, I think, 154.5 was the lowest I saw it at. That's with the defenses in mind and the slow pace that these two play at. They are the or the two slowest teams in the W. These two, they went just up and over this number, hitting 159 in their first meeting this year, and we've only seen each team hit under this mark in 44% of their games this season. The Lynx haven't allowed even just 80 points in their last 6 games, though. They've held their last 2 opponents to just 65 points each. The Storm have held their last 3 opponents under 80 themselves, but kinda gotta factor in those games were against the Mercury, the Wings, and then the Aces, not exactly teams that have been lighting it up on the scoreboard. But the same can be said for the Lynx. Their last 6 opponents include the Mercury twice, the Valkyries, the Wings, the Sun, and then the Storm here. So, also teams that haven't been, like, stellar on the offensive end. While, the way both teams have shot the ball to this point, man, and the fact that the Storm are just middling defensively at the moment, I'm in the minority, I think, and I'd be more inclined to, look at an over. This number is just too low for me to want to sweat out an over. Although I do get a feeling that the Lynx kinda roll here, man, and if they can put the clamps on Seattle defensively, um, you could possibly see an under here, man, but, to me, it just feels like a big if. Um, I don't know, for as great as Minnesota has been, obviously undefeated and like I said, ranking 2nd across the board in, every rating, all sorts of categories, really. You start looking at team statistics, man, they're number-wise looking phenomenal, but I don't know, just watching the Lynx this season, they're not it's like there's another gear that they can get to, and really they're just them and the Liberty both, they're just so much better than the competition that I don't think we've seen their best ball yet. And I've been saying that I just don't think that we've seen Minnesota play defensively to the level that, we saw them play last year and what I think they're capable of playing this year even. Even sitting at 2nd for defensive rating, feel like I sound kinda crazy saying that, but it's how I feel, man. The eye test is the eye test. Sometimes, numbers be damned, man. Watching these games, I'm just not seeing it yet from Minnesota, not at a consistent rate. There's flashes of it. And I think that I feel like we're seeing it more and more from them as the season wears down. But I also think that, we still see stretches from them where they're kind of falling asleep out there and they turn it up in crunch time because they simply know that they can. So I'd be hesitant looking at it under in this one. That's why I'd kind of be leaning more towards the over. Definitely because I don't think that Minnesota can be stopped. Personally, I think that they're going to have a great day offensively. So maybe we just look at a Minnesota team total over in this one. But end of the day, as that number just keeps dropping, if it gets lower and lower and we get down into those mid or low 150s, it'd be hard not to look at it over. But with that said, also, when those numbers get super low like that, man, the books know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and those are typically those games where you look back and, like, the total lands at, like, in the 130s or the low 140s, you know what I mean? So, all in all, I think that the Lynx are the right side in this one. I would be leaning over, but I'm not sure how I end up playing this one yet, so this would definitely be one to check down there into the pin comment. And next up, going to be looking at the Dallas Wings taking on the Phoenix Mercury. Mercury are 6.5 point favorites now, open up at 5.5. We see that line moving as well. Was at 166.5. I'm now seeing it at 167.5. Like I said, 10 p.m. tip-off time for this one as well. Mercury are going to have a 1-day rest advantage in this game and will be home for the final game of a 3-game homestand with 3 days of rest before heading out on a 4-game road trip after this one. They are 6-4 straight up, 5-5 against the spread on the year, coming in off of a 12-point loss to the Storm. The Wings will make the short flight from Dallas to Phoenix for a quick 2-game road trip. They are just 1-9 straight up to open the season, 3-7 to the number. They are currently on a 5-game losing streak that has seen them go just 1-4 against the spread in that time. We have some things to note here looking at the injury report. First for Dallas, they'll be without Tierra McCowan, who has departed to represent Turkey in EuroLeague play. That tournament's not going to finish until the end of June, so we're not sure exactly when she's coming back, but she will be out for the foreseeable future. Ty Harris is now officially out for the season, had knee surgery, the backup point guard of Paige Becker, so that is another blow to Dallas. But it does look like Paige is going to be back for this one. Um, I'm not seeing her on the injury report this time around. But man, I do expect some rust from her, just being real. She has been out for a handful of games now, had that concussion. So I definitely think that she'll be a little bit shaky to start off, and especially coming back against such a stellar defense like the Mercury. Then on the Mercury side, we have Alyssa Thomas and Natasha Mack are both listed as probable for this one, which is a change of pace from what we have seen in recent games for Phoenix. Their returns, man, especially AT, is going to help lift this Mercury team on both ends of the court. You got Alyssa Thomas out there running the point from the center position. You know what I mean? Like she is really, really special, and can affect the game in so many different ways. So having her back out there is going to be huge for Phoenix and definitely makes sense why we're starting to see some line movement in favor of the Mercury. With that said, however, the Mercury have rallied behind Sabally. She leads the WN usage rate for to open up the season. And also a handful of first-year players on the Mercury side, man, that have really stepped up and helped keep Phoenix up towards the top of the standings while they have dealt with injuries. Saw without Kalia Copper as well, who I think she also had surgery mid-May. I think they said she'd be out 4 to 6 weeks, so we're probably not going to see her until end of June at the earliest. Probably more looking like July. So it's kinda scary to think about, came into the season talking about how Phoenix lacked depth, and then they had all these injuries happen, and, man, they've looked pretty good so far despite all that, so once they get everybody healthy, man, could look pretty nasty going into the playoffs. Hey, flipping over there, look at Dallas, man. The Wings have just been a mess, all season long, man, and it looks like it'll be another long year in Dallas. Paige has been off the court more than she's been on the court, right? You got Enrique out there, man. She's been chucking up ice blocks towards the hoop much of the year. Dejanay can't stay out of the news for what is being called, but later rescinded by the league, flagrant fouls. And it's a whole big mess. People are calling her dirty, man, and I'm calling the basketball world soft. Man, like my boy the Mamba said, soft as Charmin out here, man. Come on. It's basketball, y'all. Come on. Anyways, man, the Wings sit at 6 for points per game, shooting 41% from the field, 31% from beyond the arc. Both of those are good for just ninth in the league. Dallas is sitting at 7th for offensive rating, 11th for defensive rating, and just 11th for net rating as well. The Mercury are just 10th offensively, but I do expect that number to rise up with Alyssa Thomas back in there. But they are 4th for defensive rating. They are sitting at 6th for overall net rating. Like I said, offensively, they have struggled. Only 10th for points per game, 7th for overall shooting percentage, 8th for three-point shooting percentage. But man, look, with the returns of AT, Natasha Matt coming back onto the court for Phoenix, you couple that with the fact that Dallas isn't stopping anybody, with McCowan out for EuroLeague play. The front court is looking pretty depleted. The back court has issues as well. Look, man, the Wings have given up the third highest shooting percentage from both deep and overall from the field. They allow the third most points per game at 88 per. They're allowing the fourth most points scored off of turnovers. The Mercury are putting up the fifth most such points. So, all in all, I can't see a way to get to Dallas. The Wings are missing players in the front court, in the back court, like we just said. The Mercury are just simply the better team, and they're getting more players back in the process as well. So, I'd be leaning laying the points with Phoenix. And then looking at that total, man, I get expecting any Dallas game to cruise up and over the number, right? With as horrible as that defense has been. But like we said, Phoenix isn't winning games on the offensive end. They are beating you with defense and are also just middle of the pack as far as pace is concerned. So that number is just too high for me with a Mercury team that should dictate the pace at home, play slow in a bounce back game too for them, after that loss to the Storm. And I think they lean on defense to secure the dub in this one. I'm going to lean under. Then our last game, like I said, another 10 p.m. tip-off time. Sparks and the Aces. Aces laying 11.5, total sitting at 166.5. Sparks are going to come into this one just 3-7 straight up, 4-6 against the spread. They'll be on the road here for the first of two straight and will be at a 2-day rest disadvantage, excuse me, to the Aces, who sit at a 3-4 record to the number 4-3 straight up. Vegas will play host for the first of three in a row at home. These two have met once this season in late May when the Aces handled the Sparks 96-81. That one was also in Vegas. LA is just 1-4 in their last five, with that lone win coming over those lowly Wings that we just talked about. In fact, their only wins this season come over those Wings, the Sky, and the expansion Valkyries, who were playing in their first ever game at that time. So, not the greatest resume to open up the year for Los Angeles. Obviously, though, man, the Aces haven't been the most consistent team and have had their share of disappointing outings this season as well. They beat the Storm in Seattle. That's, been tough to do over the last couple of years. And they did take out these Sparks and, they beat upstart Washington by a few points after rallying back. But each of their three losses have been by double digits in their most recent game this last Saturday, ending in a 95-68 beatdown to the Valkyries in Golden State. In their last five, the Aces are shooting just 40% from the field. That is 12th in the W, while the Sparks are hitting at a 44% rate. That is 6th overall. Vegas is sitting at 4th for three-point shooting percentage, however, with LA sitting at just 8th. Here's the thing about this one, guys. I just don't have a strong opinion on this game, honestly, because here's the thing. I can't lay double digits with the Aces. I just can't do it. They've been the most inconsistent team to try to bet on dating back to last season, in my opinion. But I'm not seeing a way to get to the Sparks either, because despite the addition of Plum, who the Aces know pretty well, and the talent that they have over there, it just hasn't been enough, man. They can't find a way to put it together for a full 40 minutes and stack up some wins. The defense has been atrocious, man, and the offense has definitely improved. Over last season as well. I think they were dead last in offensive rating last season, but like I said, it just has not been enough for this Sparks team to get it going and get it going consistently. Something to note here, though, the Sparks have been double-digit dogs twice this season, and they have failed to cover in both those games, right? And one of those was to these Aces as 10.5 point dogs. So I will lean Vegas in a bounce back spot, but me putting money on Vegas is a thing of the past, man, until they show me something and they do so consistently. String it together for a few games, man, before I start putting some money behind you again. Looking at the total, though, the over has hit in 4 of LA's last 6 games, with one of those that didn't land under, ending in a push. Vegas has gone over in 3 of their last 4. Both these defenses are struggling. The Sparks play at the sixth fastest pace in the W, and the Aces the fastest. So I'll lean over in this one, but much like the side, man, I don't have a strong opinion on this one. These two teams are both so inconsistent. They just have not shown me enough this season to really want to put my money anywhere on this game. That is going to wrap it up, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the content today. Hope you found it helpful and useful. And if you did, please do not forget to smash that like button down there and hit subscribe if you have not already. I've had some crazy long days at work, guys, this week so far, man. So just please bear with me. Yesterday I had the shorter video, and I know there's no player props in this video here today. I was able to look over all these games. Typically, I'll look them over, right? Looking at the side, look at the total, and then I dive in the player props. Just simply did not get there today. I just did not have the time. So wanted to be able to get this video out to you guys. It's coming out a little bit later than I would like to even. So um, you know, I at least wanted to get this out to you guys, and I will look over the player props tomorrow morning. And if I find anything that I like, I will definitely add that in to the pin comment. So I hope you guys all have a great night. I hope you guys all cash out, and I will see you back here tomorrow for the next one.